In addition to service in the U.S. Air Force, Dan Matthews' commercial airline experience took him to Korea many times. It is because of this connection that Dan is pleased to have the opportunity of joining Leah Tetreault this evening. Dan.
Marking the pro-democracy movement that took place on this day 36 years ago.
Guess I got around the world. And thank you again, Joe.
Led student activists in Gwangju to carry out a string of demonstrations, which
I think that Steve McLaughlin, Jeff Swan, and Ray Lockman will agree it's an honor to introduce to you tonight Leah Tetreault. I would characterize Leah as both a refugee and immigrant from South Korea. As we discovered Leah's story, we established the theme of this year's 9/11 event, freedom and family. Leah was an audience member last year. Maybe some of you can recall reading her wonderful review of last year's 9/11 Remembrance event that can be found on our website, hartleymansion.com 2024. Leah, will you join us, please? Leah's going to take us back 45 years to a time when she was 20 years old and was just completing her nursing education in her hometown of Gwangju, Korea. The year was 1980. There was widespread student unrest in support of pro-democracy movement throughout Korea. It included colleges and universities in her hometown of Gwangju. On May 18, 1980, along with many others, she helped create a huge student uprising with the hope that their voices would be heard. Yet they could never imagine how things would turn out. Let's share with you now a brief newscast from just a decade ago about that uprising.
36th anniversary of the May 18th pro-democracy movement, a day as important now for Korea as it was more than 3.5 decades ago. The movement laid the groundwork for the democracy South Koreans enjoy today. For more on what unfolded on this day in 1980 in the southwestern city of Gwangju, Shin Se-min reports.
It's a day remembered nationwide. For some, it holds bitter memories. For others, honor. Marking the pro-democracy movement that took place on this day 36 years ago, most people are reflecting and reminiscing on the historic event that altered the political and social landscape of Korea. In 1980, public opposition to martial law led student activists in Gwangju to carry out a string of demonstrations, which triggered a campaign to overthrow the authoritarian Chun Doo-hwan regime. In response, Chun deployed special military forces to suppress civilians and employed brutal force, killing some 200 and wounding countless others. This pro-democracy movement took root, making Gwangju the symbolic center for civil action, and now May 18th is widely remembered as the day that gave birth to democracy in a struggling nation.
I come by and see my friends and brothers. We all went through that time together. It's emotional and hard every time I come.
For the daughter of May 18th activist, this year's anniversary is all the more poignant. Her father has been in the hospital in critical condition since last November after being knocked to the ground by police water cannons during a government protest.
It's an event that cannot be forgotten. And seeing my dad still going through such tough times, I don't have much to say.
Here at the Bangwal-dong Memorial Cemetery, where the martyrs of the Gwangju pro-democracy movement are laid to rest, visitors create a stone tower to honor the spirits of those who have given their lives for the democracy of the nation. The building of this tower was once stalled for more than 2 decades, but resumed with public support and continues to take shape piece by piece. And now, not only does it represent community, but also the united struggle and the spirit of democracy that Korea continues to benefit from today. 신세민, 아리랑 뉴스, 광주.
It's my honor now to introduce Leah Tetreault, a student activist and one of the leaders in the Gwangju student uprising of May 18, 1980. And today, the owner of the Soundview Deli and Grocery business on the Mukilteo Boulevard. Let me remind all of you, it is because of Leah's contribution to this year's 9/11 event that we created the subtitle Freedom and Family that you see on all our posters and flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, Leah Tetreault.
Hello. I'm honored to be here tonight.
Thank you. I'm going to speak for Leah because we found this is a pretty emotional narration that she has said here, so I'll be quoting her. Back then in 1980, I had many student friends that felt the same way that I did. We supported the democratization movement. We wanted freedom. So we got together, many of my friends, hundreds of others, no, thousands and thousands of us. We brought signs to hold up. We recognized that there might be a little pushback, but nothing scary, nothing like what happened that day. We were upon the street in a large public area. We had been doing our demonstrations and holding up signs for a few hours. Then soldiers began to surround us. They started pushing us, then beating us, and finally shooting at us. From the streets and from helicopters, we became scared and started yelling and tried to run away from the soldiers. Many students were killed. Some were friends. Some were from my university. Many of the soldiers were the same age as the students. Maybe they even knew some of those students. It's okay to continue? Okay. I ran to a neighborhood and hid beneath a front porch. Soon afterwards, the soldiers showed up. The lady that owned the house stood on the front porch. When asked if she saw any students, she convincingly said no. And it worked. She probably saved my life. Without her, today I would probably be just a name written upon one of those cemetery rocks that you saw on the news broadcast. Afterwards, I managed to hide in a basement for the next 8 days. During this time, the student uprising was crushed by the soldiers. Hundreds were killed. Thousands more were injured. The student uprising lasted about 9 days until May 28th. With the help of my father and others, I was able to get far away from Korea to New York and there go to a university to continue my education. And finally, I married. My husband became the president of a university. We had 2 sons, James and Paul. After my husband passed away, I eventually moved to Washington State and established my Soundview Deli and Grocery on the Mukilteo Boulevard.
Can I say something?
Of course, yes, please.
It is, I would like to say, freedom is not free. Freedom isn't free. I'm telling you, freedom is not free.
Leah, since you're talking, could you tell us about your father?
My father. We are all gathered here celebrating freedom. My father fought for the freedom of South Korea side by side with America. He was shot right arm, right leg, but he have injury, recovery injury. I was young. My father told me about freedom is very important and responsibility. That's why I was a students activist, leader of my university group.
Thank you. And how about telling us about your boys?
I have two wonderful boys. Paul is right there, and youngest James. James was straight A's high school student, and for 3 years, United States wrestling champion in high school. And he is a straight A undergraduate at UC Berkeley, and followed by straight A UC Berkeley Law School. Why am I telling you all of this? Finally, he joined the United States Marine. Clearly, he got the message. And freedom and family, that's my boy story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah, for sharing with us your story. And I'm going to encourage everyone to go to the Mukilteo Deli and grocery along the boulevard there. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah and Dan. Yeah, a little side, if you're not familiar with where the deli is, Sunview Deli, it's really been hard on her because the bridge has been closed between Mukilteo and Everett, and it will probably be closed till next June. And so a lot of people aren't driving all the way around. So if you get an opportunity, go by, see her, and help her out as well, the little deli there. The address, Soundview Deli, Mukilteo Boulevard. Other than that, I don't have the address at hand, but if you Google that, it'll come up.